In the meantime, lawmakers in Congress, they are reaching across the aisle. They are trying to work together to tackle gun violence. And one of those lawmakers who is doing that is Congresswoman Stephanie Murphy. She represents much of Central Florida, and she's here in the studio with us this morning. Great to see you, Congresswoman. Thanks for being here.
Great to see you, Amy. Thanks for having me.
So let's go back first to last week and what happened in South Florida. Tell me a little bit about what was going through your mind when you heard what happened.
You know, as a mom, my heart just broke for the victims and their families and the survivors. I just can't believe that another community had to suffer like ours and like Las Vegas, and it's just another one in a series of mass shootings. But you know, as an American, watching the students begin to advocate for gun safety measures is really impressive and inspiring.
Talk to me about how that has inspired you, because you actually have a bill that you have put forward. Describe the bill to me, what it means. I was actually surprised to find out that the government is not allowed to study gun violence. Is that right?
That's right. So last year I introduced a bill called the Gun Violence Research Act, which would repeal the Dickey Amendment. The Dickey Amendment is something that over the last couple of decades has prevented the CDC from studying gun violence. It's one of our biggest public health issues, and yet we're not allowed to collect data about it or study it. And this would remove that barrier, allow us to get the information we need to craft smart legislation that can keep our communities safer.
And you have actually had Republicans, I'm with you on this.
I'm really cautiously optimistic. President Trump's HHS secretary has indicated that he thinks we should remove that ban. And then after Parkland, I was joined by 3 Republicans who are willing to co-sponsor this bill. We now have over 120 some co-sponsors of this bill.
Do you feel like we are at a tipping point in this country? I think along the way people have said Sandy Hook will be the tipping point, or Las Vegas will be the tipping point. But it feels like there is more momentum this time around.
I certainly hope we are at a tipping point, because we've gone on too long without doing something to address this public health issue. And I think that the fact that the students are lending their voice, and that this is a generational thing. These are students who grew up in a world where they only know mass shootings. They're born after the '99 Columbine situation, and they've watched their elected officials not do anything, mass shooting after mass shooting. And I think their voice is really making a big difference this time.
And I wanted just to ask you, because I think a lot of people will say, you know, we seem to only be focusing on guns. Do you feel like Congress is looking at this as a bigger problem than just guns? There are more issues here. There are FBI issues. There are mental health issues. Do you feel like they're looking at it that way?
I think the only way that you can look at the mass shooting issue holistically is by gathering the data and gathering the facts and gathering the information, so that we come up with a set of legislative proposals that address all of the elements that you discussed.
All right. Well, we certainly appreciate your efforts, and we thank you for coming in this morning. Congresswoman Stephanie Murphy, thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me.
All right.